Nintendo, please tell the court what you did when someone asked for a refund.
We pretty much just gave them the refund.
Nintendo, you're under oath.
We drove them crazy by citing stupid policies about how we don't give them refunds.
And when they didn't buy your dumb reason,
we took them to court.
Ladies and gentlemen, does this sound like a fair deal?
No! Not at all.
That could have been me. Okay, guys, there is a few storefronts out there. Just a few. All right, there's like maybe one. There's Steam. There's Epic Games. There's Origin. There's Battle.net. There's Uplay.
Amazon have a goddamn launcher right now. Go check it out.
Microsoft, they've got one too, right?
What about me? It isn't fair.
I don't even know who you are.
And then, of course, we've got CD Projekt Red Go.
God, oh God! Every time I hear that Russian accent, I get triggered. I get triggered on behalf of the Polish.
Okay.
CD Projekt Red do have a storefront. It's called Good Old Games, and today they announced what is unquestionably the greatest refund policy in the history of video games. It's too good to be true, but it's actually true. So that doesn't make any sense. Anyway, nice. Let's drop.
Could I have a refund, please? This gun doesn't seem to work.
I don't know. Looks like it works to me.
So yeah, there obviously are a lot of platforms. You probably, if you watch this channel, know that Good Old Games exists.
If you're a hardcore gamer, you know
exactly
about it.
right. You know, you get it. You're with it. You're up to date.
You're pretty hip.
You're hip with the kids.
I had no
you
idea.
wear hats like this.
I had no idea that this even existed until I started the channel.
Yeah,
so a
that's
lot of people will not know what GOG is because it has a very small footprint. Let's be real.
What a lot of people don't know is that GOG is actually owned by CD Projekt Red. So CD Projekt Red is actually sort of like an umbrella company that has different parts to it. One of those is obviously the game development studios that make all the video games. One of them is GOG. Okay, that is a part of their business, but it hasn't been a particularly successful part of their business.
It hasn't really been at all, everybody. Now, I think 2018, they declared that they made like 30,000 Polish crowns or whatever it is, okay? Polish dollars.
Polish
okay?
dollary dues.
Polish dollary dues, okay? And that means 7,000 or so $7,000 US that they cleared in terms of profit that year, which is gigantic, okay? For a uni student, man, that's a lot of money.
That is a lot of
That's a hell of a lot of money
You
for
can buy a
uni
lot of
student.
Migorin with that.
Yeah,
no?
a lot of that
I don't know,
shit.
do they have that in America? Migorin noodles? Probably not.
Plenty of beers at the uni bar.
Yeah, that's right, and those red cups. That's how Americans drink, right? So anyway, look, that's a company that has been struggling, and in fact, in 2019, February, they actually did a round of layoffs within GOG because they just weren't making enough cash. They also formerly had a policy called the Fair Price Package, which was that if you lived in a region where you were negatively affected by regional pricing, they would give you store credit. So that was basically just giving away cash for free because they couldn't control currency fluctuations, but they felt like they should somehow compensate you or incentivize you to spend regardless of the currency difference. They ended up stopping that policy as well. So this was a storefront that was on the ropes already at the start of 2019.
And on top of that, Epic enters the market, everybody, okay? Which makes it even more tricky. Let's be real, when they came out in the market, big splash, a lot of exclusives, and a good percentage for devs, right? They changed it to like 12% for developers, and GOG charges about 30% for their titles, which is very similar, of course, to Steam. So for Epic to enter the market and offer such a pro dev percentage, it puts more strain onto GOG, right?
Like
they're like, how do we make money? We've made so much money this year. We can buy a second-hand car.
So GOG, a really crappy second-hand car.
Really? Put it in H.
What country is this car from?
It no longer exists, but take her for a test drive, and you'll agree. Zagreb Evnem Zloty Gdiev.
GOG, though, have not been sitting idly by, just going off quietly into the good night. They have actually been fighting back pretty hard. Just this year, they released what's called GOG Galaxy, which is a unified launcher that I use every every single day. It literally just takes all of your launchers like Origin and Uplay and Steam and Epic and whatever, and combines all of your games into a single library, so you can track all your games there, you can launch your games from there, you can track playtimes, you can do all sorts of shit. It's fantastic. If you haven't downloaded, I really recommend doing so. It's great.
I only found out about it today, so I think a lot of people actually still also won't know about this, but it's like the infinity gauntlet of,
Pro-consumerism.
Yeah, so that is also pretty cool. Look, they got other stuff, though, that is also pretty cool. DRM free. I think this is the only store on the actual PC that does this, that you can buy a game, you download it onto your platform, and it is yours. You own that, right?
Every single game on GOG is DRM free, which means you get a file that you download and you own it, and that's it. There's no like logging onto the online server to verify your ownership over it or whatever. No, it's like you buy the game, you have it, it's DRM free, it's yours for forever. And that is just a fantastic proposition these days, where so many games just get deleted for whatever reason, because of some bullshit licensing reason, where some song from like 10 years ago changed ownership to some different record label, and now the game has to come offline. It happens all the fucking time.
And look, another thing they kind of do is, which is kind of random but very cool, they rebuild old games. Now there was a game for Blade Runner, like a point and click. Now you couldn't actually play that anymore because the architecture on PC had changed and the game wasn't working anymore on current platforms. They went back and actually rebuilt that thing, so you can play that and you can now buy that on GOG.
There's a few games like that.
That's
SWAT
pretty cool.
they did some of the Monkey Island, they did lots of stuff. So they do fantastic work. Now listen, that's all the background. That's why GOG is good and why you should be interested in GOG.
Yes.
But today you should be even more interested in it, because they announced the greatest refund policy in the history of video games today. Here is what they said. Everyone at GOG believes in a gamer's first approach. I love your CD Projekt.
I love you guys.
It means that every part of our store is designed with gamers in mind, and your purchase safety and satisfaction come first for us. The latest update to our voluntary refund policy adds another piece to this customer-friendly experience, and it all sums up in one sentence. Starting now, you can get a full refund up to 30 days after purchasing a product, even if you downloaded, launched, and played it. That's it. It's important for us to say that this update is possible thanks to your respect for all the time and hard work put into creating the games you buy on GOG.com and playing by the rules. We're grateful for that and encourage you to continue to do so. For more details, check the FAQ.
I mean, look, let's just start with how revolutionary that is. We see companies all the time now, right?
All the time.
Trying to make sure you do not get your refund.
Yes.
Nintendo,
Nintendo just won a lawsuit in, I think, Germany, Sweden.
Germany, I think.
Where they don't have to refund pre-orders. So they literally went to court over many months, and they fought the consumer agencies to make sure that if you pre-order something, you change your mind, bad luck, Nintendo keeps your money. Valve went to court with the Australian government quite a few years ago and lost that case as well, trying to make sure that we could actually get refunds, so that's great. And more recently, Bethesda went to court with the Australian government over Fallout 76.
And they lost.
And they lost that too, right? So companies really go to the mat trying to make sure that they can't refund you. They're desperate to keep their dollars once you've given it to them. That's how they do.
Apart from Nintendo, there is a trend right now where a lot of games come out and they're just like fucking broken, you know? So a lot of people are like, hey, I want my refund back, you know? So this is why there is a huge problem right now with games coming out and people wanting refunds, because, hey, you know, if you get a toaster, right?
Yeah.
As you said, actually.
Nice.
I'm going to take
Sam.
this as my
Thanks,
own.
Sam. Thank
If
you.
you buy a toaster and it's faulty, hey, you should be able to send that back, okay? We've got the same problem with games. So GOG doing this is going to be huge for people that just want to try a game and not feel like it's such a risky thing.
Sure, but this goes further than just it doesn't work. This is like if you don't like it, you can bring it back. And further, because their platform is DRM free, you can download the game to your machine, you have it, you play it for 30 days, you keep it forever, but you can still on that day number 30 be like, hey, I'd like my money back. And GOG would be like, okay, no problem.
You can finish
That's
most
true.
games in 30 days.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is maybe where we get to where we're going to see some douchey people use this not in the nicest way.
Well, this is the thing, okay? There's a lot of discussion now about whether or not this policy is too generous. And I understand why people sort of say this, because they assume that everyone will exploit this, it's going to be a disaster, and it will end up costing CD Projekt Red and GOG money. But I have a lot of personal experience with this topic, because I used to work at EB Games in Australia, which is it's GameStop essentially, but we have a policy in Australia, a 7-day refund policy. You buy a game, you can play it for 7 days, no questions asked refund. If you don't like it, you can bring it back and get a refund. I worked there.
I use that, okay, a lot.
You're one of the scumbags.
You worked there, so I was one of those people that if I wanted to, you know, finish a game and take it back, why
He would
not?
do it all the time.
It's part of the policy, right?
I worked there for like 6
Fine.
years, and I swear to God, the return rate, or the number of people I saw abusing this policy was like 2 or 3% of people. I called my brother Alec, or Thick Boy, and he also worked at EB Games for 6 years. I asked him, what do you reckon the percentage is? He says straight away, less than 5%. I said, agreed. 2 or 3%? He's like, yep, 2 or 3%. Generally speaking, people do the right thing. They do the right thing most of the time, you know? And if they don't like a game, they'll bring it back because they want to bring it back. But most people don't want to scum the system.
Totally, I agree. And look, some people, if they want to just like do this whole thing anyway, they can just go to Pirate Bay or whatever and just download it, right? So that might be a thing. We might be, you know, getting ready for a situation that actually never occurs. Fine, but I think there's going to be some people that do, you know, kind of you know, muck around with the system. And the only thing is, you're only $7,000 in the green. Like, you don't have a lot of room right now to bring out policies that really might shift that into the red. That's where I'm coming from in terms of that could be an issue.
I think that's really predicated on the idea that this is risky and you might lose money from this, but I really see it quite the opposite, right? I am going to recommend GOG a lot more now as a result of this policy. As a games reviewer, I'm going to check if the game that I'm reviewing is on GOG. And when I review it, I'll say, hey guys, this is on GOG. Go check it out. Maybe you'll hate it. Don't worry. You can play it for an unlimited number of hours within 30 days, and if you don't like it, you can get a full refund on it. I am going to start promoting GOG. I'm not sponsored by them, but I believe in this policy so much that I'm going to like put the word out there because I want people to try more games. I want people to experiment, and this policy lets them do that. Furthermore, it also allows GOG to actually get a larger database of people.
The thing.
A lot of people are going to start downloading GOG Galaxy, you know, like getting involved in that ecosystem and hopefully choosing to make more purchases there, and that's only a good thing. So I think this is actually really smart, and I don't see it as risky personally.
I hear you. I think that all those things could be the way that it goes, and it's a really successful campaign. I really think it could be. But all I'm saying is, you know, when you are such a fine line there, I just hope it does in fact do that. I also think one of the biggest things that this could really bring about is riskier purchases for indie games. Things that you might have never heard of. You're like, okay, well that trailer looks kind of cool. There's no reviews for it, or I haven't even checked the reviews, but fuck it, I'm just gonna download it and play it, you know? It gives you a bit more of a comfort to go, I'm gonna just experience this and see if I like it.
For sure.
And that is probably one of the most important things that I'm seeing come out of this, because a lot of indie devs just don't get the coverage that they maybe want or deserve, and they need a safety net for people to actually try those games.
Totally
so
agree.
in that regard, that's pretty cool. So it now probably will help.
Just to be clear as well, there is obviously a douchebag clause written within this where like they do reserve the right to deny you a refund on an individual basis. So it's pretty clear that if you're someone that just keeps coming back over and over and over again, getting all the games, refunding all the games, CD Projekt Red would be like, thank you, but no thank you.
I wonder if let's do a video on that. Let's just like download and then
let's
refund
see
like
how many
20 games.
See how many games we can download before CD Projekt Red eventually like
actually interesting video. I would actually want to see what that is. But look, I mean,
like it's the Layman Gamon again. Like, what should we do? Should we refund it? No. Let them keep going.
Yeah. So we're like, we're 1,000 games in.
Right.
We're tired.
No, guys, that's the policy. As I said, please go and download GOG. I think it's a really great platform.
Totally.
DRM free, focused on on sort of reviving old games. The best refund policy in the business. CD Projekt Red own it, and they're a great company with the right sort of values. If you can buy your games on GOG, I would do it. I certainly plan to do that a lot more in the future. That's it. Video done. Case dismissed. The gavel.
Terrible.